everybody.
Morning.
Thank
Morning.
you so much for being here and welcoming us in such a kind and gentle way, as Catherine would. I am Amy Breski,
And I'm Susan Horrocks.
and today we are talking about charism, vocation, and calling. It's in the classroom and beyond, and we talk about a few different things. Susan, you're going to talk about?
I'll begin with my experiences in a college seminar class that I teach. We will then talk about our Mercy Action Project, and then Amy will.
I will be talking about some assessments that you could do that are very kind and gentle for service activities. Particularly, I'm going to talk about some pedagogy ideas, and then what I did in a particular classroom that's a remedial course. So I'm so excited to share all of those things with all of you, hopefully to bring some great discussions.
Let me see. So we were there. All right. So here we go. So again, we all have a mission statement, but we at least had to present it. A little information for those of you who probably don't know some of this. Updated information. Our mission statement. Trocare is a commuter college. I actually had thought we were the only commuter college, but I understand there's maybe one other in Western New York now that is more like us. The faculty-student ratio is 9-to-1, so we're very small. We had student enrollment in the spring semester was like 893 before melt. So right now we're pretty consistent, but we're on the smaller side right now. Our student ratio, male to female, is still higher female. Approximately 80-20. Again, every semester it alternates a little bit. 86.3% of our students do reside in Erie County, but we do have 8 counties, sometimes 9, depending on the semester. So our students really come from come from far away for both our seated and our online courses. What's interesting though is our average age of our students, it keeps going up. A year or two ago it was 28, now 29, and now it's a little bit over 30.
So we're traditionally a
We're
non-traditional
non-traditional
student population, and we're specifically it's a private career-oriented college. So we do not engage programs that do not produce jobs. Like we really look at the occupational handbook and assess whether or not this is going to produce a job or a career that a student can, engage in. And you're going to be talking about specifically career and jobs.
Right. So in this case, again, obviously we incorporate the Mercy heritage. It's incorporated literally in everything that we do, especially in the classroom. We make sure that we focus on how we can get the students to, well, I'm jumping ahead. I do that in class too, by the way. I always digress, but I'm going to talk about this later. But really, it really is about career exploration. And then the students say, why are we doing career exploration? I'm here for this career. Well, sometimes those careers don't pan out the way they think they're going to. So we have alternate careers for them, and it really helps.
This particular picture I wanted to talk about. So we're a 2-year and a 4-year. We do have 4-year baccalaureate programs. We're known for our 2-year. I really wanted to talk about this picture because we're pretty proud. This is the Surge Tech class that had just graduated. All of them passed
100%
their
pass rate.
board exams. It was 100%.
Very exciting.
So we're very proud. But we look at all of the different moving parts in our college, and the things that we just wanted to really talk about was that charism part and how we sort of pull it all together as a community. We have, mission, we have faculty, we have staff, we have student engagement, and we try to keep it where everybody's involved in decision making. So now talking about more of the careers, I love this.
So I'm not humorous, but I love humor. And I had to include one of my all-time favorite Far Side cartoons. Every lecture I begin in every class always begins with a Far Side cartoon. I like this one in particular because it's really harmless. You can be gifted, you can be not gifted. We all make mistakes. We all err. And inevitably, I saw some smiles. I like that because inevitably students will laugh. And when very first class, I'll start with a cartoon. I don't know, it relaxes students. They realize that I can be calm in a class. Oh, okay, we're gonna work hard, but we're gonna also have a little bit of fun. And I said, we can have fun even though even though we're gonna be serious, we can have some fun. So every lecture, I always begin with a Far Side cartoon, and I didn't realize until many years later, how many were psychology based. There's so many therapy. He uses a lot of couches, but I like this one in particular because we're all here to learn, and I tell them I make mistakes all the time, and we learn from them.
I think
That's
I
what we
made
do.
that mistake the other day.
Oh, we
I
do.
pushed instead of pulled.
We always push when we need to pull and pull when we need to push. So, don't we all, right? So, what I've done here is I've just kind of given you the course description of my class. The reason why this is so interesting is we do have a lot of transfer students, but every student, I'm sure you all have an equivalent class. I took this as an undergrad. You have a class where you have to go in and you have to learn about your school, you have to learn about learning. And this, I actually taught this at many schools, like at UB, where I was an undergrad. That course is really focused on, hey, this is the school. Our class is not. This course is, yes, this is TroCare, but this is also how you're gonna learn. This is, what are the tools that you need to be successful? Because we all think, well, ultimately we're either nervous or we're excited, but then we actually get into our class and we realize how much work we're gonna have to do. So we have it, and I'll show you a slide where we have it mapped out so that ideally we're addressing the issues that the students are going to be facing throughout the semester. So I specifically mentioned this one of the 5 CLOs, understanding the mechanisms of choosing a career path, utilizing advisement and career services, along with all the skills that we're learning in the college seminar class. And this is really important. So my class is a 1-credit class. We meet for an hour and 50 minutes once a week. Now, the reason why this is important is because I had to, the voc psych person in me had to at least define career. And the reason why is because I have here a major personal identifier, especially in Western cultures, is what was done for work. I tell the students, when you meet somebody, you're gonna walk up to them, hi, first your name, and this is what I do for a living. And when you tell them that, you tell them your education, you tell them your social status, you kind of tell them your income. Nobody ever says to you, hi, I'm Susan, this is how much I make for a living. Nobody, but you're telling them all of these things about you. And so when you tell somebody, hello, I'm a rad tech, or I'm a nurse, or I'm a this, you're telling them so many things. Of course, some of those things, there's maybe misconceptions, but still, those are fun to address as well. It leads to conversations. But your career really is a major identifier. And we all learned probably back in 2008, when people were losing jobs, or even during COVID, when we were at home, who were we? Okay, I digress again. So again, I have another quote. TroCare had participated in NetView's reading grant, and so we had done a presentation at TroCare. So I have all these wonderful quotes about different kinds of career and work. So I have a couple of them,
And we find that when students have an identity, so they come in sort of knowing what they want. And so what we're doing in this class is fostering that and sort of giving them this push to, okay, realization, is this really where I want to be? Am I really prepared for college? It's much different than, what expectations are. And I think I shared yesterday that a lot of the data research in neuropsych is a lot of students are more inflated now, that they feel that they're already prepared and they don't need any more help and I've got it covered. And then they come into the class and they're tanking and drowning, and by week 5 they're like, I'm just gonna withdraw and drop. And we don't want to see that happen. So that course in particular was designed to foster that identity and to push them more towards career exploration. And instead of looking at it as just, I'm going to give you college skills, how to read a textbook effectively, how to write effectively, we pushed it even farther. So more student engagement, and they get to explore.
And it touches on our mission too, because our mission talks about making a lifelong learner that's going to go out into a universal world. we have to have people that are not, you don't just get a degree here, you're going to contribute to your community and you're going to, help others. So I have a definition, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna move on, but there's I define occupation, I talk about a job, and I love this because, and I will tell students, we teach this in my, developmental psych. Take the time later, think to yourself, how many jobs did I have between the ages of 18 and 36? And I will tell them that, and I'll count them, and I'll say, this is what I did. I do count when I was a paper girl. I was like 12 or 13. Technically it's 18, but I still kind of count it. The point is we all do a lot, right? From the time we were teenagers till now, we do many, many things. They have, again, the average age of our student is 30. So they've done many things, and they are often coming back. I have a student in my current summer class who said, I was at Trocare, I came back after 19 years. Mind blown. So what I think when I go into my class is this idea of vocation and calling. Vocation, we have, again, a definition. I absolutely love this idea that, the connection, how vocation really is, truly a calling. I always say, you don't pick a job, the job picks you. And so this is kind of the fancy way of saying that. So the job is going to be called to the person. So jumping really quickly to my class, this is kind of the weekly schedule. So what we do, and again, it's more of a...
Andre.
Yeah.
Have to mention her.
Absolutely. So this is a seminar class. It's not lecture style. I will stand up and maybe talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Again, it's an hour and 50 minutes. So each class, so I will invite, so the red, here's everybody from around the campus. So our Associate Vice President of Academics will come in. She'll talk for 10 or 15 minutes, introduce them, to her office, come see me, her door's always open, things. Our PLC, the Palestino Learning Center, I say it's the Learning Center, not that I'm failing halfway through the semester center. Please come in, go learn. This is all about learning.
Visibility is important.
Trio, again, I'll move on, but just like student activities, wellness, the Title IX, and I love this, and we'll talk about this next. Mission, Catherine's Cupboard, so Sister Marie Andre Main, the financial aid. This is kind of a little bit of an extra, but all these students love having that. And I will say with Mission, Mr. Tim Sumber would come in, and I will tell you this, it's not my class, another college seminar class, they actually invited him back for their presentations, because their last class is presentations. They invited him back. He's actually leaving Trocare as of, I think, last week, and we're going to sorely miss him. So some challenges. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but their preparedness. I mean, even if they are the traditional age student, reading level, writing levels, things like that. What is their motivation? They all come in gung-ho, and 2 or 3 weeks in, they realize I have to write, I have to read, I have to study, and then it drops off. Self-esteem, they think, some of them think they're ready, or they will. I actually had students say to me, I don't think I can do this. Like week 2. And I'm like, so learned helplessness. Of course, I have to put Dunning-Kruger. And then I have some dots here, because I'm sure you all, if you've ever worked with a student in a classroom or outside of a classroom, what are some of those challenges that the students are facing? So I, of course, have a whole series of these. I would be happy to go over any of these with you individually. I have a time management form. Again, I didn't design it, but they love this. They don't realize, I'm actually not studying as much as I think I am, or, I'm working a lot and I'm not sleeping enough. This is where my childcare is, or this is, so this really is a really useful tool. Every once in a while, I'll have them pull it out. Every 2 or 3 weeks, what does your week look like? I'll ask them to fill it out. So this would be like, and again, I use our old learning management system, but this would be an example of where this is what we're going to be doing this week. This is who visited, so I'll take a snapshot and I'll post it, so that they always have this running information. They can always go to it. I have another Far Side cartoon. And I love this one, especially when massage therapy students, because we both have a certificate and a degree program. Okay, Mr. Hook, seems like you're trying to decide between a career in pirating or massage therapy. Well, maybe we can help you narrow it down. And I love this cartoon because I used to ask the massage therapy students, or I will if they're in my classes, like, is this a possibility? Let's think, right? Think outside the box. But really, when you think about it, we all have a dream. We all have this idea of what we want to achieve. Can we? Do I have an impediment? Do I have something, whether it's a skill of learning or whatever it may be? So I say, and I love this quote, following the path for one which has no aptitude would be irresponsible. So to that end, specialists in higher education are obligated to assist students in responsible self-evaluations. So sometimes I have had to tell a student, you may need to, let's sit down and talk. We may need to put you on a different career path. Now, I never actually tell them they have to do something different. I say, let's have a discussion about it, right? So I then have a couple more quotes, but really what this is all about is about that inner voice. I'd love to quote Leo Vygotsky when he talks about that inner speech, because we do need to listen to it. And so in the one chapter we had for NetView, they quoted Steve Jobs, who's not my hero, but I think this is a great quote. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Because we have all probably had students who were like, I don't know. And then they just really, they get it, they work hard, and next thing you know, they're graduating, and then they're coming back because we had a student, I literally was like practically crying. We had a student, and I wrote her name down because I knew I was gonna forget it. Tawanda Bolden. And I said to her, I couldn't believe she said it. Tawanda Bolden at our nursing pinning this year, she was our honored speaker, and at the very end of her beautiful speech, she said, she says, it's not a career, it's not a career, it's not a career, it's a calling. I got chills, and I kind of teared a little bit. And she was very serious, and she shouted it, like she's not shouted it, but she was really emphatic. It was very, very powerful. So, I have here careers of achievement, lives of purpose. It's wound in. It's, what we do in our classroom is helping our students. We don't make the choices for them. We just help them on their journey. And to me, that's really powerful. And unfortunately, sometimes I don't get to see the end of that journey. I only get to be a small part of usually the very beginning of it. But it's really important. And so I say here, work is just a component of who we are, and we help our students along our journey. Amy was going to then talk just a little bit about mission.
So the mission office, and I'm sure everyone has sort of similarities with the mission office, but I just put a few pictures in here. This is actually our sacred space that we have, but the mission office offers some programs for students, and there's specifically services that support them holistically throughout their journey at Trocare College. So we have a few things that are offered, like Eucharistic liturgies. We also have prayer services, scripture studies, social justice, critical concerns. We were honored with a critical concerns plaque on floor 2. So if you get a chance to come to Buffalo, South Buffalo, specifically more or less the Irish heritage lane of the city, I would invite you to come and see it. It's pretty spectacular. But more importantly, what they engage in is what we call the Mercy Action Project. And the Mercy Action Project is very important in our school. This is Tim Sembers. I thought it was really important that we put his picture there. He's now going to St. Joseph's Collegiate Institute and providing some mission services there. So we were very sad. But MAP is a tuition-free, non-credit course. It's a service-related co-curricular learning experience. This is where our mission of our college and the spirit of the sisters come into play. It is completely their service, the student's service to an organization that is related to their career. So for example, we had a nutrition program a while back, and one of the nutrition students went to the local community center and volunteered the 12 hours over a course of how many weeks? Because this is about a 15-week process, but it covers over 12. And they engaged in education of that particular community, which was pretty low income. It was at 10% below the poverty line. And what they offered was ideas about how to create meals under $10. And it was specifically, centered around what stores are around them and what foods in particular would give more bang for their buck nutritionally, and also, you know, more in economically. So these are all pictures. All these pictures on here are from this MAP service project. So it is supporting student learning. It's meeting the community in ways that really engage a civic engagement for the students. And we talk about social justice here. This is really living it. They live the experience. I always say they're walking with Catherine through these hours. So it provides this culture of service. It actually inspires all of us to, we're just gonna go out and serve the community. And so we do that. We do that in our own time, and we do that under, you know, Trocare's time. This is how it's broken down, just in case anyone has a related service opportunity. And it is, first we do a 1-hour virtual workshop, and that's really understanding what the mission is. And I'm sure everyone here knows that if students know what the mission is and like engage in it, they really start to have this ownership of the college,
which
and
ironically,
satisfaction.
we do go through it in the college seminar and classes.
Yeah.
But usually this is done more towards the end of their time in Trocare, so it's like a year, 2 through 2.5 years later.
Usually when
So
they're in their
we
program.
re-review it.
But I've beaten that with my course, so I'm
Yes.
gonna talk about it. So
Yep.
then
Yeah.
you live the mission, 12 hours of service, and then they have a final reflection at the end, and they talk about what they learned from it and how it made them feel. So these are just a few quotes. I won't do them all. A couple of these students, they're all our students. So
Yeah.
I had to put
We have
the
a
ones-
favorite though.
Yeah.
We have a favorite.
Sometimes. Every year it's different.
Oh, every year is a favorite.
So I thought this quote was really good, this last one. There's a few of them on here. When I started MAP, I was very goal oriented to get it done. And however, 12 hours wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. There was something powerful and almost intoxicating that happens when you realize you are helping someone find what they lost. It turns into something you didn't even know you needed.
I mean, that's
Quite
so powerful.
powerful.
When you're getting something, like you think service you're giving to somebody else, but then when a student learns that by giving to others they're getting something, how powerful is that?
So the charism
Charism
continues.
just-
So here's some partners. There are a lot of partners. I don't know if you noticed, but I involve my family sometimes in the service. That's my son. That's my daughter back there. They're cooking for the, and that's me.
Yeah.
I'm cooking. There are a couple other of our dear friends that are serving at Little Portion Friary.
Dean and Belline.
There's our Dean of Allied Health, some more of our students, and this is just a very general, but there are more. I just couldn't fit them all on there.
Yeah.
And I really did not want to not talk about Catherine's Cupboard, and I know it doesn't really fit in to this, but it supports the students that are economically disadvantaged. But this is Sister Marie Andre, and this is her pantry. It's called Catherine's Cupboard. I told her if I come to Ireland, I'm going to mention you, Sister. And she really helps not just with food, not just with connections, but she gives resources, she gives help, mission help, discussions with the students that are feeling really lost. So she provides really this, I would say like a vocational,
Oh, absolutely.
just, spiritual connection, liturgy, I almost say. So, and she did a lot of research herself. She knew that students needed food, and she wanted to make sure that it happened, that we had something on campus, even for faculty and staff. So this is Journey Towards Calling. I thought this was great. It is with the foundation of mercy that a connection is made between the educator and the learner, that one's calling and one's vocation can be better understood. As student talks about, as Susan talked about the differences between the two. Can we have a vocation? Can they pick this vocation and then it calls them more and they're more invested? So now you can use a couple of pedagogy methods, small ones in every class. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of those things because they're exploratory in nature. This is our president, Dr. Deeb Bassam. So the call can serve in their field, can come after they fail, after they switch programs, after they have discussions with their advisor, clinicals, externships, internships, the MAP service activity, and even our activities that we do in college, success and seminar. So as students go through their life, we know our students are older, they have life experience, so we want to engage their life experience to help them find that call. So I thought this was important in pedagogy. Bear witness to your own vocation in class. Your stories of discernment will help them discern their own vocation.
I disclosed that I was a paper girl.
So there's a helper. So this is how we help them through it. One of the most personal experiences between faculty and students is your lecture. It's so personal. It's the most personal, vulnerable, exposed thing that you can do. And it's an opportunity not to just deliver the content, but connect with them and their experiences. Don't be afraid to ask them, the whys. Why are you here? Why do you want to do what you want to do? And then that just gives a little more of a personal touch to it. And you can discuss your own career explorations in the process, but hear those students' experiences too that connect. And that was my class, and this is my other class. You can do rhetorical writing. Those are great ideas. Student writes from the point of view of the employment population. So you can say, what would you do if you were a nurse right now? Tell me about it. What do you see yourself doing as a nurse? You can use ethical codes to solve case problems or case study problems, so you could do that. You can have them do a professional interview. I had that in my org psych where they could do a professional interview with a nurse, or if it's biology, with a biologist. You can do the vocational reflections, which you saw in the service learning with MAP. You can do a vision board project, which I had my students do, which was specific to their vocational goals. I made it specific. I was invited to redo college seminar and college success, and I fought hard to have a Mercy Week. I fought it. I fought hard for it. I said we need it in their mission. If they know the mission, we've got them. They're more invested. They're going to pull that TROCARE, that mercy spirit outward into the community, and it happened. It took me 6 years to do it, but it happened, and it is now growing in leaps and bounds. So in particular, my students, some of their comments were, this group project was my favorite. I got to tell Dr. B about my dreams. I like showing the class how I want to get my dream of being a nurse a reality. And if I could have shown some of the pictures, but some had personal pictures, so I didn't get their signing that was okay. But between experiential and service learning, it's just learning, doing. It's learning by doing. Some students are not traditional, and sometimes this creates opportunities for the students that aren't able to do complete success in academic work. I say success is just that they went through it, and our definitions of success are different. As long as there's a connection, I'm okay, you're successful. But we want it to connect to their vocation.
I'm pushing it.
Oh, that's okay.
Oops.
So these were just my special students from College Success. So College Success is a little bit different than seminar. Yes, we teach the same college skills, seminar skills like advisement, reading, knowing how to take a test taking, anxiety, and so on and so forth, but we incorporate a service activity. So we had the Mercy Heritage Week, and I invite Sister to come to talk about Catherine. And I'm there too, and we kind of talk about back and forth as a team approach. And through that, after we reflected with Sister there, all of a sudden the students said, can we visit the sisters? Because Sister mentioned the sisters that were in the infirmary. And the class said, could we come and visit them? is it possible to come and visit them? But due to COVID restrictions and some other restrictions, and students instead wrote well-wishing notes and then presenting them to Sister to deliver it. And this was some of my class, and they did sign off on that. Student voices about this activity. This activity made me feel good about wanting to be a nurse for the elderly. Connected to the vocation, and the calling is right here. I really liked helping the sisters. It felt right after all they did for us. I learned so much about the sisters and myself through this activity. There's the identity. We are strong women. This girl was really out there. We should make a club for just women like Catherine did. I said, well, sisters are like a club, aren't they? And then in honor of Mercy Week and the critical concern of the earth and the environment, our class collaborated with the Mission Office and Tro Green, which is a Senate, now it's a Senate committee, but we invite students onward to help, maintain the environment around the school and other initiatives in the community to create a Clean Up in the Community initiative. And here's my class. That's another class I had. Here are their voice. I felt really good about helping clean up the college. We got to care for the planet, just like our patients. I want to do more activities like today. People really need to care about pollution and how to reduce plastic. I want to make sure I do this in the hospitals when I'm a nurse. Don't smoke. That one was right at the end. There were a lot of cigarette butts. Here are two of my, this was like 10 years ago with them. After Mercy Heritage lecture, again, students wanted to help create Christmas cards for the long-term nursing patients. And this is long-term residents that don't get a lot of visitors. Students wrote scriptures on the Christmas cards. They said, I let them do whatever they wanted. They even painted Christmas ornaments. And this went to 3 local homes. And here's their voice. I really was sad knowing a lot of these people don't see anyone. So I decided to make them an ornament. It felt good doing something for people who needed love. I like this activity as my grandmother was in a home and I know how she got lonely. I want to work with this population. This activity made me realize it even more. I want to be a nurse and I don't want my patients forgotten. I want to do more of this. Here are a couple others that we did, some other pictures of our activities, and some insights, just lastly, with pedagogy, approaches should benefit the student through this internal locus of control, this autonomy push. It should encourage, not discourage. Maybe avoid if this isn't really what you wanted to do, but this is self-driven for them. Also, some pedagogy activities may reflect privilege, so be mindful of that. As many of our students may not vocationally discern based on a calling, but perhaps because of economics. Social circumstances based on the jobs that are around them, civil unrest, which must be acknowledged with the platform of reflection. So they can reflect on that as we start the service activity. We'll have a reflection before and a reflection after. Regarding service activities too, if you do small ones like I've shown you here, to reduce injustice and marginalization, you can collaborate with faculty, but diverse community leaders. And those will help you understand the culture, the needs, the experiences of that particular population and guide you through it. So this is a great experience. And these, in closing, these are references like three slides full. But in ending of this isn't an end. I'm hopeful that it's a beginning for you, that you start thinking about little things that you can do in the classroom that can invite or encourage that calling. And it's not just about the vocation. It's really about that service, that call to service, that engagement, that ownership themselves, really. Thank you so much. You're a hair bit over, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get in trouble, I guess.
Sure, Edie.
So I was very, very impressed by the reflection of the students. We have a Mercy Service Day that's integrated into our, their first time instructors about the reflection piece. And one problem is a great number of students just write, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. How do you warm students up and help them understand the purpose and, how to do a reflection? Because many students haven't, before coming to college, haven't really done a real reflection before.
So here's where having
Because
collaborators.
those are excellent, and the ones that you showed, yeah.
We are lucky.
Mhm.
We are lucky that we have Sister Marie Andre, that we have a mission office that is completely invested and supportive of faculty. So what I found that was most helpful, I could have talked about Catherine, and it's just, I think it's a humanistic way of meeting people where they are. The first thing in your class, I'll say firstly, is the whys. The whys in the beginning, might have to write them down, oh, they said this, and maybe have a reflection of a quick thing that is goal-orientated, like discussion, or it could be a discussion forum, it could be something in class, and like, tell me what you want to do. Where do you see yourself? So now you have that ready. Then during your Mercy Week or Heritage Week, and you start in giving them the education about Mercy, invite the mission office to come. Hopefully the energy from that sort of sparks something. I've had maybe a couple that really, I like this, but I said, if you write, I just like this, then we won't get credit for that reflection, right? I want to know, how did it make you feel? Did it connect you more to your college, and how did it do that? I leave it very open, because if I said, the check the box, it doesn't allow that exploratory piece. And I'll, give them feedback back, and I'll say, wow, you really connected to what you said in that first week, that what you really wanted to do. And you have to design, the activity in a way that's going to promote that, whatever it is that brought them there. It could be a nurturing aspect. So as you say, maybe not write a reflection, because that could mean so many other things. Define what reflection is. What do you want out of it? Be real specific. This is what I want, emotions, feelings, connection.
So I
Give
say,
an example too.
please tell Dr. Lynn, if you ever see Dr. Richard Lynn, tell him I said this. No, you don't really have to. Plan, do, check, act, right? I mean, isn't that one of, and I don't know if he'd be surprised, but I actually do this in my classes, not just in my, service and development and all the other things outside of the classroom. But exactly what Amy is saying. I do this, I do the planning. I have my itinerary for my class, all the things that all the things that I have to do in my college sem or any of my classes. So I plan it out. Then I work with the students. I do bring somebody in. I will ask them, why are you here? What are we doing? I'll show the cartoon, or I'll do some icebreaker. I'll do some activity. And then I'll check back with them. I'll have them do a form. I'll have them do something. And then I'll see if it's working out, right? And then that's when I solicit that feedback. That's when, because you ask the why questions, you get the what questions, you get the where questions. That's only after we've done those things that we solicit that feedback, because then they get that opportunity to listen to that inner speech, where they get that opportunity to think and feel, and then really understand that they actually have something to say.
Yeah.
Because I was saying at dinner last
Right.
night, I have actually had students in my class say, I don't have a worldview. And it's like, you do. Everybody does. And the fact that I have students in my class who don't understand, they're nearly or are actually adults and don't understand that they have a perspective at all, blows my mind. So she's the more feely and I'm the more logical one. And so she's going to get to the
Therapist.
So that's my best answer, is it's the process. I actually say you could even do it at orientation. It's just how you plan it out, but obviously it takes time. So
And
I hope that helps.
I think what really, really helps, because we're all about community, and we're all about that care, at least that's what I'm bringing forward. The first thing I said, I was gonna bring forward the care, that caring community. They're with other people, they're with different people, they're getting that sense of community and differences while they're giving back. in some way. So what I found is they were all talking to, I had to do nothing. I just sat back and I was like, wow, this
Well,
is really where
you can do
they're all
nothing.
engaged. Even the quietest student wrote things that were like, yeah, I didn't talk much during class, but I really liked that giving back, that service project. And we even do a multiple, I make sure every other week or every 2 weeks, they have to get up in front of the class and talk as a group. So I'm building the cohesiveness before we get to the service activity. So you could do it one or two ways. Just provide that in the classroom where they're working together in some way, and then bring that forward. I think it'll help.
Good question. So this is really great. I like it. My question for you is, so you said it's free, it's no credit, there's kind of no
The
stakes.
MAP course is, but we incorporate beyond MAP.
Yes.
We incorporated in 2 separate classes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's
the MAP
very
course
small.
specifically,
Mhm.
is this something that all students at Trocaire
They
are
must
required to do?
You
Okay.
have to do it.
Yeah, it's
And
on their
is this-
transcript.
Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
what, that was my question, because something like this, if it doesn't show up and it's no credit, I could see it being very unincentivizing for students, but it's fantastic, so if it shows up.
Oh, yes.
That was my, I was
And
like,
if
how
they
do we do
don't-
this to make it
Yeah.
And if
fun?
they aren't there for the service activity in the classes, they have to do something else with me and give service. And we go down to Sister Marie Andre and we ask her, what
But
do
it's-
we do?
But as far as the Mercy Action Project,
Yeah.
it's a requirement for
Specific.
every student, regardless of certificate, program, degree, it doesn't matter. I will tell you, students,
Transfer as
The-
well, transfers?
yes, even transfer students have to do it.
Everyone.
The exception is, of course, if a student, like, for example, a nursing student gets their associates, they complete MAP and they come back for their bachelor's, they've already done it, so they don't have, obviously you wouldn't repeat it.
So is there like a classroom that monitors their work, or how does that work if it's,
Well, it's normally the mission officer or
Will
the
be
VP
there.
of mission, which
It-
would be Tim, but,
Well, that's the collaborated process too.
right.
You are picking community leaders that are working with you and that have the same goals in mind.
Yeah.
They're specific. So there's always conversations before we pick who the community leaders are going to be and organizations that we're gonna work with. So we wanna make sure it aligns with, first, what their career is or what their vocation that they want to go into. And then, you know,
where was the horse picture? We had
we had an
picture.
equestrian
we had equestrian.
therapy. So
Yeah.
they were helping the veterinarians with medical services for the horses. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a great thing. But
So
it's that connection and those community leaders that understand what our mission is. So then it helps the students, you know, grab it, engage with it, and own it.
Do you have other kinds of service learning other than math, or is all service learning done through math?
Well, for example, we have it in our classrooms, in those 2 separate classrooms that have CLOs that are college seminar skills. We incorporated into it because we wanted to make sure mission was a part of the CLO. So we can do that service activity there and it can be small. You can also, and Susan and I have done this in one of our developmental psych classes, you can engage where a student is now doing interviews with other people. That's a service in itself. Yes, it's research-based, but it's a service. They start understanding other people, other stories. They start, you know, in their minds juxtaposing this against their own, it's specific age group. We go older for the students, like 60 to 75, and they start understanding differences. So that's another opportunity. You can be very gentle with it. It doesn't even have to be labeled as a service learning, but it's an act of service that you incorporate in each and every class. I had, for example, one of our A&P instructors, Dr. Hillman, that says, how can I incorporate mercy into my classroom? I said, you have respect for the dignity of the dissections that you're working with. You're respecting, I'm thinking of the critical concerns, the environment. You're not being violent in your actions. You're being respectful, do no harm. You're following your ethical code. You are providing something that connects to Mercy, that mission. You may not even realize you do it. And then they'll do reflections on, again, what do you want to do, connected to that vocation. You can do something.
So additional formal service, not formal. However, there are quite a few students who will continue their service after they complete their 12 hours.
And my other question was, do you believe that because your students are non-traditional students that are older, they value this a little more than probably a traditional student would?
Well,
I'm going to say a combo.
I think it is a
I'm
combo
going to say a
too.
combination. I think some
Yeah.
of our younger students get something that they weren't expecting, and some of our older students are like,
It
yay,
kind of pushes,
this is amazing.
that big or that little fish in a big pond
Yeah.
philosophy. So now we're kind of just baptizing them by fire. They come in to a class and you constantly have to work with other people, and they're like, and it's scary, and it's, they're coming out of their comfort zone. But that's the beauty of having a liberal arts college that's respectful of the liberal arts and sciences, that we can do that.
I wasn't going to tell this story, but let me just tell it really quick. I actually, in one of my college seminar classes, I was going to one of my college sem classes, and there was this young man who was carrying a bag of kittens. And I said, oh,
Was my
I love
student
kittens.
too.
I have cats and, dogs.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, so I'm like, oh, your kittens. And he goes, this is my map. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're going to have to tell me more. And I unfortunately didn't get the whole story, but so I go down to my college seminar class, and I'm like, you won't believe what I just got to do. I got to, pet some kittens, and there was this one really pretty little, we got to hold them. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this little black kitten, I was holding him. So this student in my class is like, I've been looking for a kitten. I need a kitten. And I'm like, well, this student here, and I connected them. And it sounds weird, but so now we have this interconnection between students with services. So I actually saw the student later, and I'm like, did you adopt? She's like, she's passing names by me. Should I name the cat this? And so I saw the
Yeah.
student later, and I'm like, okay, so you adopted the kitten. I adopted the kitten. What did you name the kitten?
And,
So
yeah.
we have this interconnectedness. And first of all, I'd like to know, I'm like, I want to do service with kittens.
Yeah, he was.
Because I love
doing
it. Because
for medical.
everybody in school knows that I love animals, and
Yeah.
but the point is it's just this interconnectedness that we were talking about, or that Amy was talking about earlier, where these students are now connecting to each other as well, and so now that she has this cat that's going to live for 10 years or more, and might inspire more service to
I
animals.
had that student as well, and they were taking care of cats who had medical issues. So I think his vocation
Yeah, I wasn't
nursing.
intending on telling the story, but
but
you made me think about the
wonderful
service isn't
student.
just doing one thing. It isn't just
Yeah.
completing a program and moving on. It's just so interconnected.
And they decided to work with this organization afterwards, and they signed up as a volunteer permanently now. So I'm like, wow, you really took this and went even farther. So it was the beauty of these activities that you can do.
So I appreciate the quotes that you shared from students and what the students got out of it, but I wonder, as part of your reflection with the students, if you talk about the systems that create the injustices that basically provide these service opportunities, like what does the breaking down of systems reflection look like?
So we have in one of the weeks, it's a community week, and we talk about some things that are happening. And of course, in every class, we approach, I'm always on like, what was the cherry and what was the pit of your week? So I kind of gauge on, okay, where are they, not just emotionally, but where are their heads that day? So then I can gauge my classroom, so we can approach topics with discourse that are needed sometimes, because we have different economically advantaged people and we have disadvantaged people. Although 94% of our student population relies on student aid, they rely on it. So part of this process that Sister, when she comes in for Heritage Week too, she talks about, when we talk about the critical concerns, and we talk about specifically the needs of the community. So I will have a reflection, a discussion forum at the end after we have these conversations that talk about how do you feel about the situation in the community, Is it something that you have also witnessed in your community? But, you know, knowing that they're citizens of the city, basically, they are acknowledging the fact that, you know, we're not the richest part of the city. We're not the most advantaged, and we have, you know, very varied populations, and we have a lot of immigrant population, refugee populations coming in. So it's a cultural, like, providing the opportunity for the students to talk about their culture also helps. So in that Culture and Community Week, we talk about culture, we talk about needs and map needs of that community, and that community leader so talks to the students and kind of prepares them an orientation about why you're doing what you're doing, what the need of the community is, and that is a part of their reflection and map. So it is integrated in. So that's why you have to choose your leaders very well, because you want to make sure it's meeting the universal needs of the community. And that's something that is important, so that universal need is specific to that exercise of mission. That, I hope that answered it. Daryl, did you have some? I thought I saw your hand. No? Okay. I thought I saw your hand. It's just anybody else?
I would like to add one more thing.
Sure.
We do experiential learning and service learning.
Wonderful.
Under report, and we require 2 of these before they graduate. One of them has to be service learning, and they do it for the capstone course.
We have capstone.
And I think that one thing that we are lacking, that I'm going to take from you and share with people who do this, is the initial hour that they spend getting some training. Because a lot of students are lost when trying to find where to do the service learning.
Yeah.
I do this for Gen 400, which is the capstone class. And I do spend time with them exploring opportunities and doing things. And in our college, the Career Services Office is the one that handles people who are completely lost. Because there are some things that I can do, but I cannot offer all
Right.
the opportunities.
Yeah.
But I think it would be very beneficial to it, like you do, with like an orientation kind of 1-hour training. So thank you for that.